If you've ever felt like you have plenty of fabric but can't seem to make a new quilt without a trip to the fabric store, or you're new to quilting and want to build your stash wisely, and don't be worried if these fabrics aren't your cup of tea, they're just examples. Or maybe you've been quilting for years and you just want to feel more organized and intentional. If you can relate, this video is for you. And halfway through, I'll walk you through a hands-on mini audit that you can do with just a small stack of fabric so that you can try this immediately. Hi, I'm Beth Ann, and this is Prana, who insisted on helping me today. Let's help your fabric work better for you without buying more, but by curating as we go. Today, we're going to do a hands-on mini stash audit, not to judge your fabric and not to get rid of things just to get rid of them, but to shift from accidental accumulation to a curated fabric library that will actually work for you. I like to think of a fabric stash the same way I think of a kitchen pantry. You can have beans and tomatoes, but if you don't have flour or eggs, you're not baking a cake. So let's consider our fabric pantry. In quilting terms, if you have a lot of focal prints, but no blenders, and I especially recommend some lighter and some darker blenders, or you don't have the right neutrals, it can sometimes be surprisingly difficult to finish a quilt. A curated stash isn't about the size of your fabric collection, it's about how well the fabrics work together. Whatever your preferred style, you'll have fabrics that you know will harmonize, even as you use some of the fabrics up and add new ones to the mix. One of the biggest mindset shifts that helps with fabric organization is letting go of the idea that every piece of fabric is a forever piece. Our tastes change, our skills change, the kinds of quilts we want to make change. A helpful question to ask is, if I saw this fabric in the shop today, would I buy it again? If the answer is no, that doesn't make the fabric bad. It just means it may no longer be serving your current creative direction. Let's do a hands-on experiment together. If you'd like to work along with me, pause the video now and grab a stack of fabric. No overthinking, just grab. In this section, we're deciding what stays and what moves on. We're going to practice sorting fabrics into 3 simple categories. Keep, those are the fabrics you still love, the ones that feel like you, they stay. Use now, these are fabrics you still like, but they may have been sitting around for a while. Maybe you've used up the coordinating fabric, or maybe it's just a weird size. The key here is that we're not putting these back on the shelf without a plan. And finally, there's the fabrics that are ready to move on. These are fabrics that no longer spark joy or fit your current style. We're not talking waste. These fabrics are still a potentially valuable resource. We'll come back to that in a minute. But first, let's do this. Here's the fabrics I grabbed. These first few already coordinate nicely, so I'm keeping them together in this pile. I like the way we have a nice mix of lighter and darker. Now, this owl is from one of my favorite designers, but I didn't realize just how big the owl would be when I ordered the fabric online. I don't want to cut him up, but the scale just doesn't fit the kind of quilts that I'm making now, so I'm going to set that aside to use for something else. Next, this chicken fabric really doesn't play well with my stash, but I'll use it now. These bright, happy fabrics can all stay together in another keeper pile. They really play nicely. Now these lovely prints, the next 3 fabrics, also play nicely. The colors and the motifs are all so soft and delicate. Definitely keepers, but they get their own pile. And this fabric is really fun, but it's another odd man out. So I'll use now. And this next to last just doesn't work for me at all anymore. And while this last piece is from a different designer, I think it'll play nicely with my first set. So there we are. If you're playing along, pause the video and sort the fabrics that you grabbed. Okay, let's take a look at our results. First, our move on fabric. Here's mine. It's perfectly good fabric, it just doesn't fit my current style. Move on fabric can be donated to a guild or school, sold or swapped, turned into gifts, or processed into scraps for future projects. Now let's look at our keepers. I'm really happy with how the fabrics in each of these three groupings harmonize within each group. An important reminder, we're not making final decisions about our entire stash or fabric collections today. We're just practicing how to sort and decide. So we've done the mini audit. Now the next question is, how do you put things back so they actually get used? There's no single way to do this. Instead, the right system is the one that helps you see what you already have. One of the most common systems quilters use is to sort by color. This can be especially useful for scrap quilts, improvisational work, or modern styles. It makes it easy to grab exactly what you need, even if you're mid-project. Another route is to create groups. For me, this is most often around a general vibe, a specific designer, a theme, or an overall style. This method can work whether you're a relatively new quilter or whether you've been around a while. It can be particularly helpful if you like very cohesive quilts or working within a clear style or color palette. A quick refresher. Here's how I wrap my fabric on comic book boards for easy storage. I use plastic clips to secure the fabric, and I recommend avoiding metal pins or paper clips as they may rust if it gets humid where you live. I'll drop a link for the boards and the clips in the description in case you're interested. Now let's look at a third method, by size. Many quilters find it useful to separate yardage and fat quarters, as well as pre-cut strips, squares, and even crumbs. And again, you don't have to have a huge collection to do this. Here are 10-inch layer cakes, 5-inch charm packs, fat quarter bundles, and 2.5-inch wide jelly rolls, all stored neatly in the same drawer and all easy to see and access. Many quilters use a mix of these approaches. For example, these are all fabrics from the same group of designers, but I've sorted them loosely by color and value so it's easier for me to find what I need. I also find it helpful to bag up and store scraps and leftover fabric from each project in a bag like this so that it stays sorted and easy for me to find and use in future scrappy projects. But there's no right or wrong way to do this. I just know that if I can't see it, I probably won't sew it. By the way, if you find fabric storage tips helpful, here's 2 other videos you might enjoy. I'll link them in the description. Simple tools like fabric boards, clear bins, baskets, or open storage can make your fabric feel accessible without needing a big overhaul. And if you're newer to quilting, this is actually a great opportunity. Starting with a small, visible system can help you make intentional fabric choices from the very beginning. The final step is project assignment. This step isn't about sewing yet, it's about assigning intention so we don't let those use now fabrics drift back into obscurity. We'll try to pair them immediately with a specific pattern, a project idea, or even just a short note clipped to the fabric. And it's okay if you change your mind later, but having even a tentative plan can often spark new ideas. Here's my use now pile. Now, I'm not going to drop everything and start sewing, but I am going to designate a project for each of these fabrics. My gorgeous owl is going to end up on the front of a tote. The chickens are going to become a fun gift for my chicken-loving sister-in-law. And this last piece is headed for a dear friend who's going to love it. When it comes to using fabrics up, I especially enjoy high-value, low-time projects like this eyeglass case, wristlet, zipper pouch, and drawstring bag. Totes and eco-friendly shopping bags are always in high demand, too. Another way to deal with leftovers or orphans is to cut them into standard scrap sizes or sizes that you personally love to use. I often use 2-inch strips, so that's how I cut these, and they're ready whenever inspiration strikes. This can help you shift from being a collector of supplies to a happy finisher. Curating your stash isn't a one time chore, it's a creative reset. It honors the time, money, and care that you've already invested by actually putting that fabric to work. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. How do you sort and store your quilting fabric? If this helped you see your fabric differently, please give the video a like. It really helps more quilters find it. And don't forget to subscribe for new quilting topics every week. Happy quilting!